Order, and we'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Senator Carpenter. Here. Senator Caslin. Senator Embry.
Here.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator Schickel.
Present remotely in the district.
Thank you, Senator Harper Angel. Senator Schickel. Senator Southworth. Senator Webb. Senator Westerfield.
Here.
Senator Wheeler. Senator Turner. Chair Smith.
President, we have a quorum.
Yes.
All right, good. We're going to go ahead and take up this business quickly. First on deck, I see Representative Lewis going to come to the table. We've already had a lot of discussion on this bill. However, we did not take a vote. There's been a few changes made for the committee members to know. We stripped this bill back to its original bill form, took out the committee substitute that was presented by Senator Caslin, which was agreed upon by him. And we added back in the amendment which I presented to take out people that get LIHEAP, the people that really struggle, that have a hard time. We didn't want this bill to be an attack on people that are already struggling with, making their car payment, feeding their children. That was not the purpose of this. So with that being said, we actually need a motion on the committee sub. Motion. Second. All those in favor, sign of aye. Committee sub's adopted. Now we're talking about the bill as amended by committee sub. Do we have any discussion on it all? Any members have questions? Senator Schickel.
Thank you for your chair. Thank you for working on.
Is there any organizations that are against this bill? I'd be curious to know.
Representative Bray, if you want to address it. I think Tom Fitzgerald has spoken against this. He may be online. I see him nodding his head.
I am.
And there may be others I'm unaware of. This bill's taken a lot of twists and turns, so I have a feeling that it's gained support and lost support over the different changes that we've made to it. But are you currently aware of any group that's actually, other than Mr. Fitzgerald?
Other than Mr. Fitzgerald, no.
And
And the PSC.
so the Public Service Commission, that's right. They did have a thing that was supposed to be in the packet from the previous bill. Tom, we'll just have, for a few minutes, do you have any other groups that you know that are working with you that have concerns?
No, I don't, Mr. Chairman. And I have just 3 points to make whenever I could have just a minute to do so.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that now because I think we're going to be ready to take action on this bill.
Okay, just so the committee members are aware, again, Tom Fitzgerald, Director, at least for several more months of the Kentucky Resources Council. The original bill is limited to water districts and water associations. And what it does is preferentially guarantee them the ability to impose up to a 10% late fee and deprives the commission of the authority that has been given to it for decades to determine whether the tariffs, including the late fees, are fair, just, and reasonable. 3 points in 2 sentences or less. Late fees have been shown through almost a year's worth of evidence to have little effect on the timeliness of residential utility customer payments. Some may say, well, that wasn't a long enough time, but I've seen no evidence suggesting otherwise. And if anybody has evidence suggesting otherwise, they're free to present it to the commission under oath and let the commission make that decision. The second point, the proposed 10% late fee is arbitrary and punitive and bears no relation to the lost value of the money that may take a little longer to collect from the general ratepayers. By contrast, the IRS charges 0.5% for unpaid balances per month. Third, the legislation is special legislation. It treats water districts differently from all other PSC regulated utilities, requires the PSC to accept without question the late fees. Now, some may say, oh, those late fees aren't much because the base bill is only $35 or $40. Base bills vary from one district to the next. And I got to tell you, if you are a person for whom a late fee of 10% on top of your fee doesn't affect your budget, then more power to you. But there's a lot of folks out there, even folks who are not going to be eligible for this low income assistance program, for whom it's a big deal. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate again the opportunity to speak to the underlying bill. It still has significant problems, and the Kentucky Resources Council is very concerned about the preferential treatment, the special nature of the legislation, and the fact that it deprives the commission of jurisdiction that is properly theirs. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Now, do you want to tell us just quickly, and I mean, we were going to run out of time, why you all filed this bill? Tell us what we're trying to solve here and why you guys brought this forward.
Sure. So what the PSC's done is back in November, they started removing districts' ability to charge late fees. And so what the commission is doing is it's effectively punishing the poor people who pay their bill on time. You take people like my 92-year-old granddad who would qualify for LIHEAP. They're having their rates raised to cover the fact that their neighbors don't pay their bill on time. So across the board, the PSC's kind of taken the view that instead of charging the customers that impose a cost on the utility, we're just going to spread that out amongst all customers. And so our local water districts, the small companies, they're very concerned about their cash flow going forward, because this is effectively going to turn a 1-month billing cycle into a 2-month billing cycle, which is going to mean they have to have more cash on hand, and which is going to mean that they have to raise rates. And as a matter of fact, in all 6 times they've done this, water rates have gone up to cover for it.
Just briefly, you have a background in this type of industry, right?
Yes. So for 13 years, I was the city manager or city administrator for the city of Mount Vernon, which we have a utility company. And I can say without a doubt in my mind, the 2 busiest days we have in the month is the first of the month, and that's when everybody on the fixed income, they come in to pay their bills because they want a budget for the month. And then the second busiest day is the 20th, and that's the day the penalty goes on. And that's when people like me who have forgotten to pay their bills all throughout the month want to scurry in to save that 10%. And that's what we're concerned about is, from a utility standpoint, especially among these small utilities, cash flow is everything. If they're not making, because they're having to buy their water in most circumstances, and so if they're not bringing in adequate cash flow to cover, they're going to go default. And I've seen that happen. I watched that with my own eyes amongst the water district in my county.
Second.
Representative Lewis, you had anything you want to add to that? Feel like it's got it covered, or?
I'll just say, and I appreciate Fitz's comments. I think they've been constructive during the process of this bill, and I appreciate Representative Bray for bringing this bill forward. As for data, I would say you have 50 years of precedence that you have in place that was, again, months of data that you're saying overturned it when it was flawed data that people didn't even know that they didn't have to pay the late fees. On top of that, further evidence that they're effective. The Public Service Commission finds it effective enough to charge late fees to the utilities they assess. So I think that's enough.
All right,
Thank you,
very
Mr.
good.
Chairman.
I had Representative Senator Carpenter. I don't apologize. That's actually not a bad thing to be called representative.
Yeah, maybe I get a pay raise if I'm a representative, you know.
Yeah, go ahead, Senator.
My question or comment was just towards Fitz's statement. And Fitz, good to see you. I hadn't seen you in a little while. But in my industry, in my business, you know, every business I see charges a late fee. And if a late fee doesn't create an idea for people to pay on time, then what's the incentive for everybody else to pay on time? I mean, what you have to set some precedence, draw some line in the sand to say, hey, it's time to pay or not pay. And so if it doesn't have an effect, then there's a lot of these utilities they have a line drawn, and if they cut off their utilities, then people have to pay to have their utilities put back on and pay for that extra rehook fee. And so saying that late fees aren't effective, I don't think is correct. Now, it may be behavioral. People just don't decide not to pay their bills on time because that's the way they want to do it. But it's funny how the 10th of the month or the 20th of the month, the 19th, they didn't have the money, but all of a sudden on the 21st, they had the money to pay their bill plus a $10 late fee. You know, that's just, some people just have that habit. And so I don't necessarily agree with that comment, because it seems to me that you have to have some kind of line in the sand, because the people who do decide to make the sacrifice to pay it on time, now their bill is going to go up, just like theft at stores and everything else. Somebody is paying for this stuff.
Right. If I could, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Fitz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, it's good to hear your voice. I don't see you on the screen, but it's always good to hear your voice. I'm not saying for all customers, for industrial customers, for commercial customers, there does seem to be a correlation between assessment of a late fee and payment behavior. But for data spanning scores of utilities that the Public Service Commission reviewed during the year that late fees and disconnects were both suspended. They, to their surprise and to mine and possibly to yours, found that it really doesn't affect consumer behavior. There was in their words, a negligible effect on residential customer behavior in terms of payment. So I'm not, I understand the concern of the water districts, and believe me, after 41 years with the 37 years with the council, I understand what being undercapitalized means. But it just is, if they can make the case that a late fee does have an effect, they can do that in front of the commission. I just hate to see this mandated in all cases, and particularly at a 10% rate. So thank you.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. I ask the clerk to call the roll. You want to just, you got a comment you want to make? Yep, go ahead. But we're going to have to limit debates soon. We're going to run out of time. Representative Turner.
I don't know if you want me to speak on the bill now or when I'm going to vote after I vote.
I was going to suggest if you want to speak, when you're going to get a chance to speak as you vote if you want to do that.
But I'd rather speak in a hit.
But please go ahead.
That's
We've
all right.
already, whatever you'd like to do.
I've got a problem with it because I think I said it the last time this thing was brought up. My law was burned on the 30th of the month, and there's no exceptions for late, and they can't say, well, we'll take care of you because there's no exceptions in this statute to take care of that. All those people in Beattyville that got all under that water, if they don't have the bill and can't pay it on time, they're going to pay a 10% fee. And it says under no exceptions, as I read this statute, after this act, no declared emergency, future executive order, administrative, nothing can change that. Now, we can say the good old boy, if you come in and we'll take care of you in that situation, that's not permitted under this statute. You'd be discriminating then. So you're going to mandate that for any reason that bill is late under this statute, as I interpret it, look at it as a lawyer, you can terminate and even terminate their service under that last paragraph for non-payment of utility bill. And there's no exception. And I said the last time, if you give a 30-day or something like that, like most people will in emergencies or something, I would be for it. But I'm going to be against it here, and I'll probably speak against it on the floor for that basis. Just want everybody to know.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Go ahead and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Senator Carpenter,
Aye. Yeah. Yes. That's the word I was looking for. Yes.
Senator Caslin. Aye. Senator Embry. Senator Schickel.
Aye.
Senator Southworth.
Spend my vote, Mr. Chairman.
Please go ahead.
I did commit to voting for this in this version. I did see something I would love to see different, but I'm going to continue to vote yes anyway. But this 10%, just to get it out there, what I'm hearing is that not everybody actually uses a 10%, and so perhaps what we really meant to say was up to 10%. Don't really actually increase people's fees that they had been paying for whatever 50 years or something. But anyway, I will vote yes.
Senator Turner. No. Senator Webb. Senator Westerfield. No. Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Yeah, and I explain my vote. To just echo this concern that Senator Turner had, which is the reason why we amended that. A lot of the people we're talking about, my district, as you all know, got really hit in this thing, and a lot of the people will be asking for assistance as they go through this, and so those people that will be getting light heat assistance and the ones that Senator Turner talking about will be covered under the amendment, which is what the sponsors of the bill and I all sat down to get worked out, so that you do have people that are the poor, that will struggle with this, that have the chronic late fees, that I had talked to Fitz about, that it's not going to matter if they're late, they don't have the money anyhow. So rather than trying to motivate them by having them be even later, when I'm sure Senator Carpenter's probably got renters like this, I mean, you get to a point there, there's nothing you can do, so they don't. But what happens without the measure we put in, that just causes the light heat fund to get just drained to the bottom. So that was not the intent here of the sponsors. We got together and fixed that. That takes care of the issue that Senator Turner was talking about, and that's why Cass and I vote. So we have a majority of the vote for that. Motion is approved favorable. The bill passes, and we will leave this thing open so it can have debate on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
You're very welcome. Next bill, and we've got 15 minutes, and it's a hard 15 minutes, guys.
Record a vote?
Yes, you may.
No.
You could have waited.
Nope, can't wait.
Okay, if you're going to be here speaking on 465, now's your chance to go ahead and come to the floor. Please identify yourself for our records. We know many of you, and anybody that's going to be guest speaking that we may not know, please identify yourself for our records, and the mic is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Adam Koenig. Let my guests introduce themselves.
J.D. Cheney with the Kentucky League of Cities.
Is that JD under that beard down there? I can't see with my glasses off. Welcome, JD.
Thank you.
Adam Caswell, Kentucky American Water.
Chairman, I will not take too much time. The 465 is a bill that's been worked on, and folks here did a great job of getting it to a point where there's no opposition and plenty of members who support it. And
Motion on the motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions with the bill? This bill at all? Say no further. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor cast their aye vote. Has the clerk call the roll.
Senator Carpenter,
Aye.
Senator Caslin,
Aye.
Senator Embry,
Aye.
Senator Schickel,
Aye.
Senator Southworth,
Explain my vote, Mr. Chairman.
Please go ahead.
I'm casting a no vote. I have a real concern with the safety of just passing these type of things, and I think there's been some discussion in how perhaps some people's fears have been alleviated. I don't think it's fear, though. I think when we're talking about this big of an issue, in any time that somebody's in bankruptcy and somebody else is going to come in who's a for-profit company who can make money off of someone else's bankruptcy, there's something else going on. And so I need to get to a little bit into this a little bit more. I've got a couple of small amendments that might help protect some of our people, but I'm quite averse to a lot of these P3 type programs, and there's a lot to be concerned about, certainly, and I just have to cast a no vote.
Senator Turner, Senator Webb,
I'm gonna explain my vote if I may.
You don't mind.
Oh, you don't want, nobody wants that. I'm not in the mood for that, but anyway. I'm gonna vote a reluctant aye on this bill. I appreciate the work that's been done. I too have a problem with, especially out of country entities, trying to get my water. That's our main resource. And I think it's very important to have local control as much as possible for ratepayer, my constituents' protection, and that we control the integrity of the resource better. But I'm going to vote yes because it does keep PSC protections in place, and that is necessary to me. And let's see, there was, and we're codifying a test. We're codifying a court case and evaluations 10 times better than fair market value issue, that's previously been brought. But, when you codify a test, sometimes it comes back to bite you. So it limits a lot of development and accessibility to evolve, I guess. So I think with that being said, we're going to continue to monitor this, see how it goes, or at least I am, and as well as the conduct of the entity that's wanting this. And I appreciate the work that's been done, so I vote aye at this time.
Senator Westerfield,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler,
Mr. Chairman, I vote aye. Explain my vote.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to echo the sentiments of the senator from Carter. I think we've worked on the wastewater water task force the last couple of interims. And, I look at this as a test run. I am glad that it's continued to be subject to PSC supervision to make sure it's done fairly. However, it will be interesting to see whether some economies of scale can actually bring relief to our rural water districts. I am anxious to see whether or not this is a successful test run.
Chair Smith.
I vote aye. Motion to the favorable bill passes. Good to have you in front of our committee.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members.
Thank you. Since this is our last meeting, my co-chair, Senator Turner, would you like to make any comments as we wrap up our last and final meeting for this session?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the staff. This is, yeah, it has been
You don't
a
have to hold me back.
interesting session for us, and we appreciate
Okay,
people that
thank
make
you,
this happen.
darling.
Thank you.
Okay.
And with that, we have a motion to adjourn.